Okay, here we are at the final stage, and we've got, this is the aftermath of the last turn and fold, mixing in all the inclusions. And the dough's risen quite a bit, it's spread out in the bowl. So we've got regular flour. This is exactly the same flour that you used to make the bread with. This is rice flour. Use that to keep the dough from sticking to the bannetons. So some chunk salt, and what I do with the chunk salt, I sprinkle a little bit inside the lid here, kind of spread it out. What we're going to do is roll the loaves in there just before putting them into the bannetons. Each of the bannetons, sprinkle a little bit of the rice flour in. These have been pretty well used, so they have kind of a natural coating because multiple uses, and it just sticks to it. Okay, so now we've got, those are pre-dusted. Gonna set the salt off to one side. I'm gonna do one container at a time. A little bit of flour on the countertop, just to do my spreading on. And obviously clean the countertop pretty thoroughly before we start this. Have a table knife, and this is used for cutting the bread and also to tucking it. And then I have this little bowl scraper. It's just really handy. Came with a kit that we bought off of Amazon, but it's really nice to get the dough out of the bowls. Okay, so you can see it's coming out. It's kind of peeling, sticking in a little bit, but that helps to get it all out. Hardly any mess. Okay. Sprinkle a little more flour on top so that everything doesn't stick together. Okay, I'm just approximating, but I'm going to go ahead and cut this thing into two pieces. Okay, set one piece off to one side, and the other one I just spread out right where it is, using the flat of my hands, pushing and spreading, and then flip it over. It's a little sticky on this side, so I'm going to add a little more flour. Same thing, spreading it out. I'm trying to make what's effectively going to be a fairly large rectangle out of this, and just spreading it. And looking at it, I can tell the other side is going to be a little more solid, so that's the side I'm going to have down at the final when I'm done stretching it out. Don't know why, it just feels a little more solid right in here. So stretching it out here for one last time. And I'm going to take the corners and fold them inward, roll them, fold them, tuck them, and then kind of form a ball with the whole thing. Now what I'm doing here is, a lot of people will use the table knife to do this motion, pushing it in and spreading. I'm just adding tension to the outside edges of the ball. I'm tucking in on both sides and turning and turning and pushing. As you can see, the inclusions start to protrude out a little bit more and more every time I push on it. And this portion of the dough also gets a little bit more sticky. So you can kind of tell as you're stretching it out that it's getting more tension. The trick is to get enough tension to where you really add that ability for the loaf to really rise by tucking everything in underneath, but you don't want to get so much tension on it that it bursts open, and especially when you have big chunks of stuff, is much more likely for that. So now I'm going to take this portion facing upward, going to roll it over into the salt, and you can see the salt sticks to that. That will be a part of the loaf later. So we're going to take the banneton, a little bit more rice flour, drop this thing in here. You see it's a little bit sticky, so I'm going around the edges with the rice flour to keep it from sticking to the banneton. A little bit on the bottom, stretching it out. And sometimes the chunks kind of come out. I tuck them in a little bit, and there's one. So if that's all set, set that off to one side. I'm going to take the next one, same process, get a little more flour on there, get some salt ready so that when I'm ready to roll it in there, it's already in place. And just stretching it out. And you can see kind of the ripples of the Italian seasoning I was talking about earlier, kind of clumps up. And again, this side is a little bit sticky, so just adding a little more flour, not too much, just enough so you can handle it without sticking to it. Any chunks like that, you can stick them right back in the middle. Okay, so this one's spread out pretty good. Folding it in, folding it, folding it, folding it, tucking it all in, and then we start again around the edges, just folding it up. This one's a lot more sticky on the surface than the last one was. I like that for the sake of getting the salt in. It sticks to your hands a little bit. Makes it a little more difficult when you're trying to tuck it in and get tension on the loaf ball. So I'm gonna just kind of scoop up a little bit of the surface flour, tucking that in. Now back to the salt and roll it around on that. And you can see it all picked up and stuck in there. Got the Banneton, a little rice flour, dropping it in. You can see it's kind of sticking to my fingers a little bit. So we're going to spread this one out. Same deal. And pull back, make sure it's not sticking. A little bit of rice flour. And I mean, it's probably not even a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon per loaf. Not a lot of rice flour at all, but just kind of a nice dusting, keep it from sticking. So these will go in the refrigerator overnight with a towel over the top of them, and they will be ready to stick in the oven tomorrow morning. So that's the same process. Going to do it again with the second one.